My God, we can see it. The promised land, the finish line, it's right around the corner. There are only 2 events left for this season of HLTV Fantasy, and we have them back-to-back taking place in the United Arab Emirates. Fantasy Focus is brought to you by 22Bet. Men's, let's finish strong. Now, I don't want to call it too early. All right, nobody should be calling it quits just yet, but it seems guaranteed that Maniac has secured his place at the very top of the celebrity leaderboard. This would be his first time winning a season after the heartbreak that was last season, losing it to Lucy at the final event of the season. It looks like he has put in place a big enough gap that nobody can surpass him. Although technically, there is one person left who could possibly pass Maniac and steal it from him at the final hurdle. Who? P2. Now, it's gonna take a miraculous run out of P2 in these last 2 events. There's a 40-point gap or so between the 2 of them at the moment. Right now, Maniac, he's just standing on the finish line, looking behind him at the rest of us chumps, laughing as he prepares to take that final step. It seems guaranteed. The real excitement, all right, the real race is still behind Maniac, with everybody from 2nd all the way down to 10th place still very hotly contested. I mean, myself and Maui Snake, we're currently in the trenches of the battle for North America. Lucy, in some absolute complete turnaround, has risen from the dead and now sits barely outside of the top 10 after what was the worst start of any season for her. We've got Nart in his debut season still clinging on to dear life. Hang in there, brother. That's another one for NA. All right, anything is possible. The final positioning still so tight, other than Maniac at the very top, where we know he loves to be. Now, thankfully, there is one thing in a sea of confusion that is guaranteed. For certain, 100% confirmed, undeniably true result. Pimp sucks. Yeah, that's right. He's inevitably about to drop out of the top 20. He didn't even play every fantasy game of the season. He couldn't be bothered to submit a team, and yet he thought that he was gonna take a swing at me? Pimp. Ugh. That'll cost you 250 euros and any shred of respect that he hoped to hold on to in the fantasy community, poof, gone. Just like that. Time to pay up, bucko. Now, of course, we're talking about the BetBoom Dacha 2023 event. This is an 8-team GSL best of 3 group stage into a 4-team single elimination playoff bracket with a best of 5 grand finals. You love to see it. Best of 5 in MR12. Beautiful. If you're looking for a little advice with who to draft and how to draft it, well, you guys know the formula around here, all right? It's been an entire season of Fantasy Focus, so without further ado, let's dive into the depths with the big baller. Now, everybody loves this kid. Everybody's talking about him. There hasn't been a hotter prospect since Maniac took over CSGO, and I'm talking about Donk. $232,000. You stick multi-fragger on him no matter what. Believe your eyes, all right? Here's your 22bet knowledge bomb. Donk is the highest activation rate on multi-fragger roll that I have ever seen. He's over 70% of the time knocking off the multi-fragger statistic. It is unbelievable how many kills this kid gets, and yet he does it time and time again. Can he do it on LAN in the face of better opposition? That's really the big question. Will his teammates be able to deliver a performance to go toe-to-toe with some of the better expected teams here in Dubai? Up against Donk, you've got Blame F, a little bit cheaper at $231,000. Of course, Blame F, camper slash attacker, and with his new teammates on Astralis, I think this is the team everybody really wants to see. I would only compare this level of hype for the Stown Jabby Astralis move to when the Cloud9 roster got originally announced with Electronic and Perfecto departing Navi. So will they hit the ground running? And if they do, will Blame F be able to keep up his typical hard carry numbers? And then last but not least in the big baller category, I shout out Jame. Yeah, that's right, Jame time, every time. 209,000 op/camper. You know the roles. These guys are their stereotypes. But of course, Jame and Virtus.pro looking to play a little bit better than they did in Yongshiping at the ESL Challenger event. After a great run of online events, LAN kinda took them down a notch. So I'll place Jame there instead of Quesarado for the time being, but Quesarado is someone else that you could keep an eye on. Not one of the official 3 big ballers, though. Up next, the safe bet. Now, there isn't too much safe about this event, right? There's a lot of moving pieces. We're at the end of the season. Things can get a little wacky, a little weird. Double Cloud9. That's what I suggest. It feels like off of their Blast Fall Finals run, Cloud9 are looking to make a name for themselves. Yes, okay, they don't have an AWPer, which is still one reason that I think we need to hesitate when putting all of our chips on Cloud9, but the rifling on Cloud9 looks fantastic. Electronic, having shed the shackles of the in-game leadership, his form is delightful. And I think that we've got early warning signs that Axiles may be coming back into form as well. So I think the safe bet, and especially at these price tags, 212 on Electronic, 207 for Axile. I say by the start of next season, Electronic's going to be up in the 220s. For the time being, his poor form back when he was in-game leading still makes him affordable. So safe bet, double Cloud9. Those 2 players specifically. Avoid Hobbit, and until further notice, avoid Boomage too. And then we've got the eco pick. You're looking to save a little money. You've been splashing cash all season long, $1 million an event. How are you going to save a little cash at the tail end of the year? I suggest to you, Norbert. That's right, he's a bit expensive for an eco pick, but I feel like he needs a shout out. When we go back to Yongshiping, he was the 2nd highest rated player for Virtus.pro, above Jame, Fame. Come on now, Norbert. You're supposed to be at the bottom of this list, and yet it looks like his time away from VP brought him back with a bunch of vigor. So stick him on support, you'll get some solid points for 193,000, although I do think his group of this event, Group B, does look more challenging than say Cloud9/Gamer Legions. So secondly, there's Kioz. Speaking of Gamer Legion, Kioz has just had himself a solid event. He's in the process of one as SPU wraps up, and $183,000 for a player that activates the headshot machine as much as he does seems worth it. Of course, if you look at some of his previous stats, there was a real low point with Kioz, but it looks like Snacks is getting the better of him back out onto the server yet again, and I think Kioz at his current price point is somebody worth your time, no doubt. Then last but not least, I think the result of this team could be in question, but we're talking Art, all right? Art has the in-game leadership back in his hands for Furia, a shocking turn of events to take Fallen off of IGLing after his more than a decade of playing that role. So Art has looked better at SPU. You put the entry fragger on him, and suddenly you've got a player who seemingly is looking to keep up to Quesarado. When's the last time Art was the 2nd highest rated player for Furia? Ask yourself that, and then ask yourself, can Furia truly return to form at the very tail end of 2023? Because that is where we are. 2 events left. Get your final fantasy points. You don't want to get left outside with the losers, like Pimp. Rise to the occasion. Be Maniac. Put on a suit and tie. Whatever it takes to win. Thank you guys for watching Fantasy Focus, powered by 22Bet.